I'll admit it. I have a sweet spot for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was my political awakening, to put it mildly. I was working at what was it? What was it? It was a software shop where they would send us to various companies in order to build software and everything like that. During the time frame, I my parathyroid hormone was out of whack, and it was effectively leaching calcium from my bones, creating this kind of arthritic feel. It was almost like you had arthritis. So it's like a 30-year-old, I'm walking like I'm in my 80s. And it was constant pain. I was getting Vicodin in order to try to deal with the pain until they did a surgery in order to resolve it. All right. During that time frame, though, because I couldn't necessarily go upstairs where the company was, I mean, it was like two flights of stairs. I was downstairs by myself, and during that time frame, I was able to just study. And instead of studying software, I was going through news, politics, and my head is around something, I get voracious, I get hyperactive in regards to doing whatever that thing is. And it just so happened that I was studying history, politics, etc. And I was blown away by the difference between what I was taught versus reality. And all of this stuff was taking place during the time, eventually getting a job in another company doing software. And Sanders was running. And I was very, like, it blew my mind, to put it mildly. And not just blew my mind, I started getting far more developed into politics, and I started getting far more vocal about it. And during that time frame, I ended up starting the channel. And so I always have this sweet spot for Sanders because he's the one that got me very focused on this. By the same token, I've had my disagreements with Sanders, and I have made video after video about those disagreements with Sanders, despite the fact of that sweet spot still remaining. Recently, a United Health CEO was shot. Now, the man who they say, or accusing of doing it, Luigi, I guess this is Margino, supposedly the video of him, and obviously the video exists, but there's a doubt or question as to whether or not Luigi is the person that actually did it. But either way, CEO is walking in New York. Somebody comes behind, shoots him in the back. Now, under normal circumstances, when a person gets shot, there's a bit of outrage. Oh my God, I can't believe somebody did that. Or, oh, that is horrible. It is depressing, etc., etc. But this time around, as opposed to it being depressing or as opposed to people being upset about it, people applauded. Super Mario or Super Luigi, as people were screaming. Some people were looking at him as a heartthrob. I remember there was a gay guy who was looking at him as like, whew, we need to, forgive. They say forgiveness. It's close to godliness. Like, and if you look at the comments, people were effectively applauding him shooting United Health's CEO. To make it even wilder than that, the McDonald's, where the person outed him, basically called in on him, started getting all of these negative reviews. Oh, there are rats in this place. This place has roaches. Oh, the food is horrible in this place. They were doing it because they were backing Luigi for killing the health CEO. Now, that is pretty mind blowing if you think about it. And it's indicative of something. Meaning, that's not normal. That's not arbitrary. That is indicative of how America feels about the healthcare system. Any American that is not part of the 1% that has had to deal with healthcare companies, again, these are not necessary. These are intermediaries. These are hedges for you getting the healthcare that you need. Anybody that has had a medical issue, anybody that's had a medical emergency, anybody that's had a family member that was sick, and you've had to deal with health companies, you can fully understand how the American public feels in regards to that CEO getting shot and why, as opposed to condemnation. For all intents and purposes, Luigi has been getting applause. What's wild about it, the people who are in leadership positions, honestly, the people who may be up to being in the position of that CEO, of course, they hate it. They said this is horrible. This is a bad thing. Nobody should be applauding this. But those aren't the people who are having difficulties with their health insurance companies. Those are the people with means that don't have the same issues. The people who have those issues fully understand where Luigi is coming from, because understand what was written on that bullet was indicative of the way the healthcare industry makes its profit, which is denying healthcare, an industry that is supposedly giving people access to healthcare through insurance, makes their product, meaning they make their profits off of denying that same product to the American public. I myself have family who's had to deal with healthcare companies where they have denied loved ones of various care that those people needed. I myself have been in a position where the doctor had to push over and over again the health insurance company to do just the most basic thing. The doctor wants something, the health insurance company gets in the way of providing it. So, Sanders, who pushed for Medicare for all, who is very strong on this notion of universal health care. Every person deserves health care. Health care is a human right, as Bernie Sanders would say. Sanders had been quiet on this, or at the very least, nobody put a mic in his face and asked him anything about it. Finally, somebody did. And I want to play his reply. Now, I've read parts of this. I haven't necessarily heard the same thing, so this reaction is going to be effectively live. This is Bernie Sanders, one and only, giving his commentary to the CEO of United Health getting whacked. Getting whacked. Come up, Bernie. Why can't I hear you?
It's totally unacceptable. But I think the outpouring.
Let's try this again.
Murder is murder, and it is totally unacceptable. But I think the outpouring that we have seen indicates that there's a lot of frustration and anger in the healthcare industry, which rejects claims that people desperately need. And I think people understand that our current healthcare system is broken. We need to do what every other major country on earth does and guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right. Obviously, it is an atrocity. Murder is murder, and it is totally unacceptable. But I think the outpouring that we have seen indicates that there's a lot of frustration and anger in the healthcare industry, which rejects claims that people desperately need. And I think people understand that our current healthcare system is broken. We need to do what every other major country on earth does and guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right.
We should be clear about something also. Luigi, if indeed is guilty, killed one man. The CEO of the healthcare system, as a response to the job of the healthcare system, has gotten thousands killed. Think of the number of people that needed life-saving care that they were not able to get because the health CEO has a policy, or that company has a policy, of denying life-saving coverage or life-saving care. So I get how this is ethically dubious, how this is morally problematic, but the rage is real, and the indignation is righteous and legitimate. The healthcare CEO and those companies that maximize their profit at the expense of our lives is what is of question and what is of issue here. And the fact that the overwhelming majority of the American public looks at this and applaud should give some kind of context to how they function in our system, how the capitalistic system is maximizing their profit at our expense in an industry that is supposed to ensure actual care. They have been, in some cases, ending up getting people killed. So, I understand where Sanders is coming from. It is a difficult thing for somebody to say good job or a clean kill. And again, this is morally and ethically dubious. And so I don't necessarily make any bones about that. Fair enough. But let's be very clear where it's coming from. The healthcare CEO didn't get killed for no reason. There were reasons. Whether those reasons were justified or not, people can argue and quibble about. But the American public and the response of the American public to something that under normal circumstances would be considered outrageous and would be considered, condemnatory. In this case, the American public is taking a different point of view. And I think it should be engaged as to why they take their point of view. And to not necessarily just yada yada this away and say, oh, these people shouldn't be upset about this. No, those people should be upset. People do have righteous rage. If you see a family member that is not getting the care they need because the insurance company is denying a claim, that is rage. That is righteous rage. When you see a situation of yourself, for a matter, needing some kind of health care and they don't deny that particular coverage, again, that is enraging. And that story is not just one individual. You're talking about something that has been replicated over and over again all across the American public. We have a healthcare system that is supposed to supplying healthcare finds ways to deny that actual healthcare. If you go anywhere else around the world, for the most part, especially if you talk about Europe or Canada, that is not an issue in those places. Hell, if you go to Cuba, that is not an issue. When you go to Britain and you need to get health care, you get health care. There's no bill. There's no, this is going to cost you $100,000 in order to get this procedure done. Or, look, we can't necessarily, it's going to cost this much to get your finger sewed back on, but hey, you could get one finger or the other. Meaning these are not situations that other people around the globe have to deal with. My ex-girlfriend in Austria, she has no context to the way and the vile nature of this system. It's evil. Let's call it what it is. It's deranged in the way that it operates. And we, in this public, in this country, should not allow it. Now, the reality of it is, some of the people have said, well, they need to go through a different way in doing something about it. Okay, what is that different way? You tell me, and we'll go about that. Is it a legal way? Is it political? Okay, how do you do that politically? This country, the majority of the races that are won, 90%, are won by the side with the most cash. That is not the typical American public that has that much money where they're putting into the political process. You're talking about the rich that put money into the pockets of politicians to keep the system the way it is. So if you're talking about this ability for the public to influence that system, that ability is marginalized, significantly so. Meaning the space that should be, let's say, the out, the capability of changing it, it's not effective in doing so. Everybody in this country, if you throw a rock at any random person, you ask them, what do you think about the political system? They will say the political system is broken. So the apparatus and the device that is supposed to be the out for the American public, the thing that is supposed to allow you to change the way the system operates, in no way functions in that way. This is not necessarily a rah-rah or pass to Luigi or whoever whacked the CEO. I'm just pointing out that there is no avenue to make adjustments or changes to that. And the person who was that avenue, meaning Sanders himself, was cheated in both races. So, it's unfortunate. I feel bad for his family. I feel bad for his loved ones. I feel bad for all of those people that were associated and connected with him as loved ones and that cared about him. And I'll leave it at that. The reality is we have a broken healthcare system, and you can't be shocked that there will be outrage at that healthcare system, and that outrage may take the form, this kind of experiential form, of somebody taking it into their own hands out of vengeance, out of anger, and for that matter, to make it somewhat of a spectacle so people will talk about the problems of that healthcare system and the evil and vile nature in the way that that system operates. Bernie Sanders putting in a butt to the guy getting whacked. I'm going to leave it at that. This video is not meant to be long. I'm just going to say like, I'm going to say share, I'm going to say subscribe. I am here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm trying to hit 40K, so definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're a new member, hit the notification bell. I pop in at all times of the day and night. I tend to be an insomniac. And if you really dig this content, you can support it through PayPal, Patreon, or for that matter, Super Chat. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you most likely later today. Have a good one, all. Be safe.